I remember the exact moment my life started to unravel. It was a Wednesday morning, just after I landed a major contract for my tech firm, the kind of deal that changes your whole trajectory. More money, more flexibility, a new chapter. I texted my wife, Candace. Everyone called her Candy, to share the news, expecting celebration. Maybe even talk about starting that family we'd been planning. But she didn't reply, not right away. And when she did, it was just a thumbs up emoji. It was subtle, but that's when the doubt began. Candy had been distant lately. Snappy, distracted. It all started after that camping trip I took with my boss Jake Hudson a couple of weeks earlier. When I got home, something was off. Her energy, her eyes, like her mind was somewhere else. Then came the laundry. We threw our clothes into the basket like we always did, but something made me pause. A pair of her panties had a hardened substance in the gusset. I picked them up, thinking maybe it was detergent. But the smell, that wasn't soap. It hit me like a gut punch. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay next to her, wondering if everything we'd built for 5 years was a lie. I needed answers, not guesses, proof. The next morning, I met with a divorce attorney. Ruby Hawkins. A friend recommended her, said she specialized in high conflict cases, especially infidelity. Are you sure she's cheating? Ruby asked, calm but firm. Not 100%, I admitted. But if she is, I want out. She nodded. Then you'll need evidence. Photos, video, a pattern. No court's going to hand you a favorable split without it. I gave her the green light. Ruby connected me with a private investigator, Marvin Johnson. He helped me install a phone tracker, an audio recorder in Candy's purse, and even gave me a device to record our landline calls. I hated it. It felt dirty, like I was violating her privacy. But if she was cheating, she'd already violated something much worse. I had a business trip coming up, a 3-day stint in California. I told Marvin, that's when she'll do it. He just nodded. He'd seen this before. I wish I hadn't been right. The first night of my trip, Candy actually answered the phone. She sounded normal, too normal, like she was trying to sound busy but cheerful. She told me she was working that night, filling in for one of the waitresses at a private party. Jake's throwing it, she said casually. One of his staff called in sick. He asked if I could help out for a couple $100. Jake Hudson, my boss, the same guy the first went camping with. The same guy who'd been acting smug ever since that trip, like he knew something I didn't. You're working at Jake's house? I asked, trying to sound supportive. Yeah, she replied. Don't worry, I'll be back late, but it's just work. I didn't argue. I just said, okay. Be careful. The second I hung up, I called Marvin. She's at Jake's place tonight, I told him. He didn't even hesitate. I'll have someone outside the property. It was almost like he expected this exact call. I tried to focus on work the next day, tried to keep my head in the game while I was finalizing our new client's onboarding process, but something kept gnawing at me. I called Candy mid-morning. No answer. Called the house phone. Answering machine. Nothing. I knew, deep down, she hadn't come home last night. By early afternoon, Marvin emailed me. Subject line. You're going to want to sit down for this. His message was short. Candy spent the night at Hudson's house. Still there this morning. She was very busy last night. Attached are some photos. Be warned, they're graphic. Full report when you're back. I hesitated before opening the attachments. My hands were shaking, but I had to look. And what I saw destroyed me. Candy, my wife, naked, in Jake's living room, wrapped around not just him but 2 other men. Men I recognized, guys I used to drink with after work. One of them was Jake's son, for Christ's sake. I stared at those images for a long time. Not even anger yet, just nothing, like my mind couldn't fully process it. I closed my laptop and went down to the hotel bar. I drank, alone, and when I finally made it back to my room and checked the tracker on her phone, it confirmed it. She was still at Jake's house. She hadn't even come home. Hadn't even bothered to lie this time. Just disappeared into their world like I didn't exist. The next morning, Marvin sent me another update. More pictures, more men, 10 this time. Jake, his son, a few IT guys from the company. The rest, probably their friends. I stared at the photos. In one, she was smiling, laughing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to fly back and confront her, drag her out of that place and ask her who the hell she had become. But instead, I just saw T there, watching the betrayal unfold in crystal clear resolution. 5 years. Gone. I checked out of the hotel early. Got on the next flight home. I didn't tell her I was coming. If she could blindside me, I could return the favor. I landed back in town around 2 p.m. Candy had no idea I was home early. According to the tracker Marvin set up, her phone was still at Jake's house. But when I got home, our place was quiet. Empty. Her car was gone. I showered, changed into something casual, and sat on the couch, staring at nothing, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to say, or do. I didn't feel like a husband anymore. I felt like a stranger in my own life. I called her cell. She picked up on the third ring, slightly out of breath. "Hey, babe," she said, her voice chipper, like she wasn't carrying the weight of 10 strangers inside her memories. "Hey," I said, calmly. "Where are you?" "I'm home. Just finishing up some laundry before I get ready for class." Class. A full, bald-faced lie. I looked at the tracker again. She was still at Jake's. Still lying in the same bed where she had. My voice stayed level. "Got it. I just wrapped everything up early in California. I'm heading to the airport now." "Oh, that's great," she said. "Call me when you land. I'll pick you up." I smiled to myself. "Don't worry about it. I'll grab a cab." I hung up without saying, "I love you." For the first time in 5 years. 2 hours later, I was in Ruby Hawkins' office. My divorce attorney. She barely looked up from her files when I walked in. "So, you have it?" I handed her a flash drive Marvin had given me. Photos, location logs, timestamped screenshots. Everything. Ruby plugged it into her laptop and skimmed the folder. Her expression didn't change much, but she did mutter. Well, she sure didn't waste any time. "Do I have enough for adultery?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "You've got enough for a slam dunk case. Full documentation, multiple witnesses if needed. This isn't just a one-time lapse, Tim. This is a pattern." I stared at the floor. She kept talking. "With this, we can push for more than just a clean split. If you want revenge, we can go for it." That word, revenge, echoed in my head. I didn't know what it would look like yet, but I knew I wanted her to feel the weight of what she'd done. Not just emotionally. I wanted her to lose everything. Not out of spite, out of justice. That evening, Candy finally came home. I heard her car pull up, heard her heels click against the kitchen tile. She walked in wearing yoga pants and one of my old t-shirts, trying to play the role of loving wife like nothing had happened. She kissed me on the cheek and started talking about meal prepping for the week. I just nodded. She poured herself a glass of wine and asked me about my trip. I lied right back. "It went great. They signed the deal. Big things ahead." "That's amazing," she said, and gave me a long hug from behind the couch. "I'm so proud of you." She didn't know I was picturing her on her knees in Jake's living room. I didn't sleep next to her that night. Claimed jet lag and crashed on the couch. And while she scrolled through Instagram in bed, probably messaging someone under a fake name, I was in the living room finalizing the paperwork with Ruby via email. I wasn't just filing for divorce. I was filing to take everything she ever built her new little fantasy on. And she was going to find out exactly what it feels like when your life falls apart without warning. Just like mine did. The next week, I played my part. I smiled when she talked. Kissed her goodbye in the mornings. Pretended like nothing was wrong. It wasn't easy. Every time she left for work or class, I watched her car drive away, then opened the tracker Marvin had linked to my phone. Same destination, almost every time. Jake Hudson's house. Sometimes she stayed a few hours. Sometimes overnight. I didn't confront her. Not yet. That would have been too easy for her. She'd cry, apologize, maybe twist the story around. People like her always do. I wanted something quieter, something that would last. Revenge isn't rage, it's patience. Marvin helped me build the foundation. He pulled her phone records. The messages between her and Jake were textbook infidelity, hidden under the name Jill in her contacts. Cute, I thought. She wasn't even creative about it. The kind of arrogance that comes when you think you're smarter than the person who trusts you. Meanwhile, I started moving money. Quietly. Our joint savings had around 40 grand. I created a separate business account for the new contract funds, entirely in my name. My lawyer confirmed it was legal since I'd signed the deal before filing. Candy didn't know. She'd soon learn that betrayal comes with a financial hangover. One Thursday night, she came home later than usual. I was sitting at the kitchen table, pretending to go over invoices. "Hey," she said, dropping her purse on the counter. "Sorry I'm late. We had a staff meeting that ran long." I looked up, smiled. "No problem. You look exhausted." She exhaled and smiled back, relieved that I didn't ask questions. Then she walked over, leaned down, and kissed my head. Her perfume mixed with cigarette smoke. Jake didn't smoke, but one of the other men from those photos did. The smell hit me like a nail in the chest. She went upstairs to shower. I waited until the water started running, then opened her purse. The audio recorder was still there, right where Marvin had told me to leave it. I took it out, checked the file. Her voice filled the room. "You're crazy, Jake. He's home tomorrow." "Relax," he said. "He's clueless. He's probably too busy signing contracts to notice you glowing." They laughed. The kind of laugh that cuts deep. Not just mocking, but intimate. When I heard her say, "I think I'm falling for you," I stopped listening. That night, after she went to bed, I emailed Ruby everything. She didn't respond until morning. From Ruby Hawkins. Subject: excellent work. Don't confront her yet. Let's make sure she shows her cards first. Do you trust me to handle the rest? I did. Friday, I left work early and drove to the dealership where Jake's son, Mike, worked. The same Mike who had been in one of the photos with Candy. I didn't go inside. I just sat across the street, watching him hand keys to customers, pretending he had a normal life. All I could think was how many people were living behind these polished smiles and shiny suits, hiding filth behind their polished images. Then I got an idea. A small, ugly, brilliant idea. If Candy and Jake wanted to keep playing house behind my back, fine. I'd just take the actual house. Ruby and I would file quietly, freeze the assets, and push for full ownership under the clause of marital misconduct. If it went smoothly, she'd lose the house, half her savings, and every piece of comfort she thought she could build on my name. I'd take the house. She'd take the fall. And the best part? She wouldn't see it coming. It was the following Tuesday when everything came crashing down, for her. Ruby had timed the delivery of the divorce papers to perfection. Registered mail, signature required, delivered directly to Candy's workplace around 2:30 p.m. Not home. Not quietly slipped onto the kitchen counter. Public. She called me 2 hours later. I let it go to voicemail. Her tone was frantic, a shaky mixture of confusion and panic. "Tim, I just got something from a law firm. Is this some kind of mistake? Are you filing for divorce? What is going on?" Then came the texts. "Tim, can we please talk? Why didn't you say anything? I don't understand what's happening." She understood. She just didn't want to admit it. I waited until that evening to respond. She was already home when I pulled into the driveway. She stood on the porch like someone waiting to be pardoned. She looked wrecked. Hair still styled, makeup flawless, but her eyes betrayed everything. Wide, hollow, like she'd been caught in the middle of a freeway with nowhere to run. "Hey," I said casually as I walked past her. "Tim, what is this? Divorce?" I nodded and kept walking. Dropped my keys in the bowl, kicked off my shoes. She followed me into the kitchen like a dog that knew it had chewed something it shouldn't have. "You're seriously divorcing me? What is this even about?" I turned around and looked her in the eye for the first time in weeks. "You really want to do this here? Now?" I asked, calm but sharp. She didn't answer. "Okay then," I said, reaching into my backpack. I pulled out an envelope and tossed it onto the table. Inside were the photos, the ones from Marvin, printed in glossy 4K truth. She opened it, and the silence that followed? It was the sound of someone's reality collapsing. "No, this isn't," she whispered, looking at the first photo. "Tim, I can explain." "No," I cut her off. "You can't. You don't explain 10 different men. You don't explain Jake, or Mike, or whatever the hell you were doing at his house night after night." Her face contorted, part guilt, part panic, part raw disbelief that I knew. "Who told you?" I smiled. "Does it matter?" Then I handed her a second envelope. "The house is going under my name. You'll vacate in 30 days. The savings? I moved my half already. Your car? It's leased in my name. Enjoy the bus." "Tim, you can't do this." "I just did. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't feel a damn thing. No pity, no remorse, just the calm clarity of someone finally cutting the rope that had been dragging him underwater. You threw away 5 years, Candy. For what? Some mid-life thrill ride with my boss? It wasn't just that, she blurted. I felt lonely, like we were drifting apart. I stared at her. Drifting apart doesn't mean dragging your dignity across 10 bedrooms and hoping nobody notices. She sat down. No more words, just breathing heavily, her hands shaking as she stared at the proof in front of her. That night, I slept in our bed. She took the couch. It was symbolic, really, her finally knowing what it feels like to be on the outside. I lay awake for hours. Not out of sadness, but because, for the first time in weeks, I felt peace. The next few days were quiet. Unnaturally quiet. Candy didn't scream. She didn't beg. She didn't throw things or deny it happened. She just existed, drifting from one room to the next, barely eating, barely speaking. Like she was waiting for a scene that never came. I think the silence scared her more than any shouting ever could. She tried to talk, once. It was Friday morning. She stood in the doorway while I was making coffee. I made a mistake, she said. I didn't look at her. No, I replied. You made several. She lingered there for a moment, maybe hoping for a crack in my voice. Some sign that there was still a window open. But there wasn't. I was done. She'd been sleeping in the guest room since the papers arrived. The way she tiptoed around the house, you'd think I was the intruder. Like she knew the place no longer belonged to her. Because soon, it wouldn't. The legal side moved fast. Ruby didn't play games. Because I filed first, and because I had overwhelming evidence of adultery, we pushed for an unequal distribution of assets. The house was in my name by the following week. The car lease was transferred back to me and cancelled. She didn't fight it. I think some part of her knew she didn't deserve to. We had no kids, no property that tied us together long-term. That made the financial gutting even easier. I found out later that Jake Hudson was quietly forced to resign. Turns out, having a scandal involving multiple employees, and a married subordinate, doesn't look good on a CEO's resume. Especially when photos start circulating, courtesy of anonymous emails to our. The other men in those photos? Some of them were married too. That fallout hadn't even finished detonating yet. Candy tried to return to work. Lasted 2 days before she quit. Guess it's hard to teach college classes when half your students have seen your name trending on a private message board. I came home one evening to find a note on the counter. I'm moving out this weekend. I'm sorry. That was it. No grand apology. No dramatic exit. Just quiet defeat. And to be honest, I preferred it that way. Saturday morning, I watched her load the last of her things into the trunk of an old sedan. A friend's, maybe. She didn't say goodbye. She just looked at me from the bottom of the driveway, holding the box with our wedding album in it. Keep it, I told her. I already burned the backup. She nodded, and drove off. I didn't feel joy, didn't feel power or triumph. Just relief, like I'd crawled out of a burning building and finally caught a breath of clean air. There are moments when you don't realize how much weight you've been carrying until it's gone. This was one of them. It's been 6 months since Candy left. The house is quieter now. Not empty, just still. Peaceful. I wake up in the mornings without knots in my stomach. I sleep without wondering who she's texting. And I eat dinner at the same table where I once sat across from a woman I didn't know was living 2 lives. People always ask, how are you holding up? And the honest answer? Better than I thought I would. For a while, I kept waiting to feel that wave of sadness, like it had just been delayed in the mail. But it never came, because what I lost wasn't a marriage, it was the illusion of one. Looking back, I don't think I ever really knew who Candy was. I knew who she pretended to be, the version of her that fit into our photos, our plans, our story. But the real her? That woman was playing a whole different game behind the scenes. And I don't hate her. Not anymore. Hate takes energy. I'm not wasting mine on someone who never deserved it. A few weeks ago, I got a message from Marvin, the pie. Short and simple. Saw her working at a cafe downtown. Looked rough. I didn't reply. Not because I didn't care, but because I didn't need to know. I'd already seen the ending. No sense flipping back through chapters I've already finished. Jake Hudson? Word is, he's fighting 2 lawsuits, one professional, one personal. Apparently, one of the other women involved was under contract and considering legal action for coercion. Poetic, really, the king of the mountain slipping on his own ego. As for me, the company I landed that contract with offered me a regional director position. Big salary, full freedom. I took it. I spend my time building something I can actually be proud of. I go on hikes now. I read more. I'm even thinking about traveling, not to escape, but to explore. I started seeing someone, too. Slowly, carefully. Her name's Julia. She's kind, thoughtful, quiet in the right ways, bold in the ways that matter. I haven't told her much about Candy, not yet. She knows there was betrayal, but she doesn't know the full story. One day I might tell her. But for now, I'm just learning what it feels like to be trusted, and to trust again. People love revenge stories. They love the drama, the takedowns, the schemes. But the best revenge I ever took was rebuilding my life without her. No yelling, no violence, no public explosion, just me moving on, while she's stuck watching the wreckage.